Hello, and welcome back to Omen Exito Plague. But hello again. Thank you for checking in. What have you been up to? Lulled by the rhythmic rocking of the train, you find yourself suddenly immersed in the darkness. As the train enters a tunnel, it takes a while for your eyes to adjust to the dim light, but when you do, you start to distinguish details of the rock formations inside the tunnel. Rather than a man-made tunnel, it looks like some kind of naturally formed cave. There are hundreds of stalactites and stalagmites all around. Your vision improves even more. You notice a strange gleam on the surface of the rock, as if it were covered in something slimy. Then you can see the same viscous, not vicious, dear lord, substance forming large rope-like drips at the tips of the... So this isn't stalagmite. I said it before, without any problems. Why the fuck do I do this? Stalicities. All of a sudden you realize that the walls of the cave are moving towards you. The movement becomes less subtle and the rock seems to be closing in on your carriage. As the train is ripped to shreds and smashed, glass flies in your directions. You finally understood that you are not being crushed by stalactites, but by giant teeth. You wake with a violent start and let out a barely suppressed scream. You had fallen asleep with your head against the window. You regain your composure and feel the eyes of all the other passengers in the carriage fixed upon you. Thankfully, however, no one dares to speak to you. Could you just fucking imagine you're on the train and some dude just goes, ah! Just out of nowhere. You would also avoid this person. You have no idea how long you have been asleep, how long the journey will take, or even where you're going. You had taken the first train out of New York Station, leaving the city only a couple hours shy of dawn. Let's look at that notebook! You pick up the notebook and flick through it again. There are more strange symbols and strings of text written in code. It is scant in useful information, however, except a long series of calculations. What these calculations refer to is a mystery until you see the drawings of a comet and maps of certain locations in North America on an adjacent page. This must be the same comet mentioned by your informant, the same comet of prophesied by the drawings in the cave. You shiver involuntarily. You scrutinize the maps, hoping to find further clues, but they are almost completely without annotation. You keep flipping back and forth through the notebook, looking for a pattern. Eventually, you do find something. Two symbols that are completely different from the others and are repeated many times. They seem to refer to two cities, Boston and Plymouth. You pull out a piece of paper which you found in the darkness of Martin's lab. It appears to be a sketch, perhaps a stylized lighthouse done as hurriedly as possible, but it could still turn out to be a clue of some kind. A train ends the journey. You cannot help but smile when you see that you have arrived in a town called Providence. When you look at the map to see where it is, you have another surprise. You are very close to New Bedford. Yay! Apparently, what was supposed to be an attempt at an escape has only brought you next to one of the cult's main centuries of power. It seems to you now that all the choices you have made so far have been inexorably leading to this destination. I need more water. I haven't even been reading for that long, Jesus Christ. You are clutching Martin's notebook tightly when you alight from the train. You do not even bother leaving the station and go straight to the ticket office. Apparently, you have very few options left. You only need to decide between Boston and Plymouth. Boston. I'm gonna go with Plymouth just because it's smaller than Boston. So I'm thinking they'll have a larger, they'll have more people in Boston than Plymouth. Plymouth, the city that gave life to the American Empire since the day the Pilgrims first landed on its shores. The saltiness of the air overpowers you the moment you leave the station. The sky is leaden gray, but not exactly ideal for free and positive thoughts. One of the first parts of the sky free from the clouds, you see a faint, luminescent trail that puts a crack in the heavens, a comet. You look around, you do not have many options or clues to help you in tracking down the cult. Why wouldn't you visit the lighthouse? You are following a hunch. Perhaps the note which you found in Martin's laboratory point not only to Plymouth, but to something more specific. The cult might even be connected to the lighthouse, or to something else nearby. You decided it is probably worthwhile to have a look in any case. Hello, Knudsen! What is up with you, dude? You look outwards towards the sea and straightway see it, silhouetted on the distance. In reality, it is a double lighthouse, or two lighthouses right next to each other. You head down towards the beach, which leads all the way to the imposing edifice on the horizon. As you are walking, you come across two sailors and catch snippets of their conversation. One of them is talking about a comet passing over the skies of America that will be visible for some days, and even in daylight. You would like to tell them you've already seen it, and that it is considered a bad omen. You slept for 15 hours? Why? Why did you sleep for 15 hours? God damn. You got new painkillers? Nice. Nice. Are they like new painkillers, or are they the same ones? But you carry on walking, lulled by the gentle rush of the surf. Your eyes are fixed on the lighthouse. As you are walking, an unnerving thought creeps into your mind. Walking to the lighthouse like this, across the beach, seems a little naive. If the cult really is at the lighthouse or somewhere nearby, they will see you a mile off. Cursing your carelessness, you walk away from the sea towards the relative corner of the rocks. You cannot have them see you coming, yet your caution almost does not explain your hurry to get away from the water. You realize that you also had a simultaneously creeping fear of water rising inside you with every wave. You know that it is not just the memory of your recent shipwreck creating the anxiety, but rather your perception of a presence, some kind of threat coming from the directions of the wave. Each small crashing iteration intones black, menacing curses. Looking towards the lighthouse, you spy a man. You are not quite sure that he is one of them, even if you are too far away to see the inevitable tattoo on his wrist. From this distance, one might think he was a walker out for a stroll, enjoying the view and bracing sea air. You, however, won't be fooled so easily. You stop to watch him from afar. Before long, he looks around, takes an irregular detour, and disappears between some large rocks. A hidden entrance. That must be another of their temples. You might have just found the hiding place of the cult. You easily find the opening to this entrance by following the footprints of the man. It is a very small opening between the rocks leading to a passage. You hear muffled rhythmic cries coming from deep inside it. Now it is beyond all doubt. The cult, the comet, the ritual going on now, everything is finally converging inside this small opening. Alright then. Same ones, but I was without for the past week. So, ooh, damn, dude. Oof. Nice weather for a while. That super sucks. I'm so sorry. You easily find the opening to the entrance by following the footprints of the man. It is a very small opening between you. I already read that. Rocky Jaws. Slowly, you approach the opening in the rocks. The smell of the sea is strong, but there is something else. A stench which increases and overcomes the initial salty dampness. The rocks of the walls are covered in a slimy substance. Clearly, not a type of algae. The smell is acritic. Yeah, acritic. And sickeningly sweet, and so disgusting as to be almost unbearable. The tunnel is very tight, and you immediately realize that will be extremely difficult and not impossible to enter without being seen. You're also convinced that this must be the only entrance. It is certainly logical, meaning that the place is very easy to defend. Hello, Bo! What is up with you? A few meters farther on, it becomes immediately dark. A faint glow is visible at the far end, however. You silently and cautiously continue along the passageway. The cave gets narrower in some place, and you must squeeze up against the greasy walls. You can see very little in the almost darkness, and you can hear large drips in the cave against the distant echoes of chanting and drumming. But it all sounds so strange due to the warped acoustics. As you are progressing, you begin to feel lightheaded and the first symptom of fever, causing you to stop and lean against the wall for a moment. If the idea did not seem immediately absurd to you, you might have thought that you were suffering from the first symptoms of the disease, as if it had been waiting dormant, hidden inside you, only to be awakened by this awful place. You resume walking, trying to reject this foolish notion. Suddenly, the tunnel widens into a cave, but you are still unable to make out any details about your surroundings. Oh, shit! I forgot about doing... Shit. I forgot about doing that. God damn it. I'm so stupid. Being able to see much of what happens inside, so you creep closer to get a better view. Fuck! I'm such an idiot. I'm such a goddamn idiot. Tunnel opens into a room carved out of the rock. You have just enough time to notice symbols carved into the wall when you are struck violently on the head and lose consciousness. Fuck! I'm so... Signed, a friend. After you were emerging from the deepest of seas, you fade back into reality and your eyelids feel the compulsion to open. It is a lengthy and awkward process involving many painful shudders along the length of your body, especially in the places where you were struck. It takes you a while to remember who you are and what you are. You can feel the effects of a fever. Your skin is burning, your head is spinning. Yeah. Your throat is swollen and your ears are impaired. It is muffled. Nonetheless, you hear chanting in the distance. After a time, you regain your senses enough to look about and observe your surroundings. You are in a small cell, hewn from a rock, lying still fully dressed on a coarse. I don't know why my brain was like, that says corpse. Coarse, thin mattress on a wooden plank attached to the wall. Cultist woman, we know you were coming. The time of the common is upon us. The time of Hastelike is upon us. It was inconvenient that you could be absent. God damn it. Fuck. Doing this to me every single goddamn time. I get really annoyed when games do this. Not really the game's fault. It's just doing... Honestly, I'm kind of more annoyed at YouTube than anything. You would attempt to answer, but your mouth has gone numb. Now the walls feel dry as if coated with a thin layer of sand. You can only just make out the figure standing in the doorway. She is wearing only the dark kilt and mask of the cult. Sure. Given the overwhelming sense of feverish nausea pervading your whole body, you decide this is probably a bad time to try and stand up. You are struggling to keep a clear head. You need to sleep. That's it. Jesus Christ. Has to, rise up within you. Can you feel the fever? It is his spirit growing inside of you. Let it grow. Let it fill you. The ritual is coming to its zenith. You have felt his power. More and more of you have journeyed towards this temple where he is embodied. At last his chains will be broken. Finally, our cult's efforts will come to fruition. Hasta, Lord of Legions, will finally have dominion over the world, and we shall rule with him. Illuminates chanting in a primitive, harsh, incomprehensible language, a language you've never heard before, composed of guttural sounds akin to grunting, or wild growls. There is only one word which you can recognize as being repeated over and over. Hasta Lake. Your fever appears to be getting worse, or could it be something else? What is the strange feeling going on inside of you? You are unable to reason and unable to think, yet despite the constant harrowing chanting, your eyelids close and you fall asleep. A wave of swirling, unfamiliar colors hits your retina. They seem at the limit, if not beyond the range of colors of the ordinary world. Some seem to have spatial depth, others smell of opaque yellow, although you would naturally have no idea what opaque yellow smells like. Carmine red squeezes your intestines, or maybe your intestines are that color. We are still in Plymouth. Yeah, we should have done that observation thing. Jeez. Just looking at them gives you vertigo and makes you nauseated, yet you cannot look away because they are all around you. You are in place, a physical location, but you are struggling to even find the vaguest points of reference. There is a regular geometry to your surroundings, but it is a reality with other rules that you can only define as alien in some way. All the shapes you can see are distorted and unfathomable. Even as you take a step, you are unable to determine in which direction you have moved. You have believed that you are moving upward, but when you hazard a second step, you find yourself on a downward incline. You are hit by a wave of panic. Jake. You hear your name being called from all directions, at once from the outside, but also seemingly on the inside. It is called only once and by a single voice, and it sounds to you as if it is shouted and whispered 10, 100, or even 1,000 times. Something moves closer to you. You cannot understand its aspect or even whether it is a man or a creature, nor can you make out exactly where it is. Is it in front of you? Is it to your side? You stay as still as possible, and for a moment, rather than closer, the strange shadow seems to be moving away from you. Its outline has shifted, and it seems to transform with every step. It appears to be above you, then below, then at your side. It repeats your name, Jake. Open your eyes, Jake. Look at me. You reopen your eyes, not even realizing that you had them closed. For a few moments, you are dazed and nauseated by the brilliant colors and shapes, but your eyes adjust, and finally you can see the figure that called your name approach. Hello? His features are humanoid, but his face has a soft, almost fluid texture and changes from one moment to the next. Although his skin is dark, the appearance shifts constantly from one face to another. Do you recognize me, Jake? You recognize the messenger, the coach driver, now a servant in Liverley, now the librarian, now Abbess, the fisherman, finally Basiria, the interpreter. Of course you recognize all these faces that you have seen from Zanzibar onwards. All have been unimportant people who have helped you in some small way or pushed in a certain distance. But in between one human face and the next, there are flashes of light. In these flashes, you catch momentary glimpses of inhumane, savage creatures, undefinable horrors, which alternate with human faces. Based on the chapter title. Yes, I was your friend, your informant. I am... Oh, good fucking lord. Nyar Lamp the Top. Messenger of the god Aesoneth? As his voice is speaking these words, his appearance mutates yet again, taking on even more unspeakable features. First, he becomes a creature whose head is one huge red tentacle. Then he becomes an Egyptian pharaoh. Thanks to you and the comet, Hestilus will be released tonight from his ancient prison in the abyss. If summoned with the correct ritual, the passing of the comet and the right celestial configuration will provide the energy necessary for the buried god to break free from his prison. Tonight, Hestilus... I'm sorry, the train is shaking my house. Tonight, Hestilus will give free rein to his hunger, spreading like... I don't like that happen. Tonight, Hestilus will give free rein to his hunger, spreading like the thousands of plagues and diseases that make up his being. Nyar Lithop's face and aspects change continuously. Innumerable men and monsters appear before you in turns, and his rattling voice penetrates your body like something with a definite physical form. You close your eyes. His servants shall be his slaves, and they will also hold the reins of the world for him. The future of the human race will be death and suffering. You, Jake, are in fact the key to releasing Hestilus, yet by the same token, you could also lock him up forever. Is this really happening, or are these merely delusions caused by the fever? Have you really become the turning point of a clash between alien beings, divine entities from a different plane of existence, fighting for control over the planet? Or are these mere feverish delusions? The fruit of paranoia and delirium caused by the disease and all things you have been through. Sure! Why not? Brain shaking your house? Yeah, I live next to a train track. So when the trains come, sometimes we be a little shaky. Why me? Although you have hundreds of questions, this is both the most urgent and the first which you are able to verbalize. You are a doctor. You understand the concept of a healthy carrier. You were infected with the original strain derived from Hesselake himself. Yet you are here, neither dead nor healed. Can you feel it inside of you, pervading your entire being? It has been there the whole time, and now the Hesselake is near. It has reawakened. A healthy carrier, entirely unaware of the fact this whole time you yourself would have been the perfect subject for your own research on the disease, although it must of course have been a different strain for the simple fact that you contracted the disease from a sick man and not via inoculation by the syringe of the cult. Choo-choos, indeed. If you are not caught up in this absurd and distorted reality yourself, you would no doubt find the tragic irony of it all somewhat amusing. I haven't understood the true nature. Narlan. Hesselake is the disease itself, yet his essence is never confined. His body is like a swarm. Every particle of disease is part of him. He is the disease and all its eminence, but Hesselake has many other diseases too. He is, what did the doctor call it? A virus. Narlatoped continually shifts in appearance and position. For some seconds, he is on your right as one of the black men you met in Delft. Then he is 3 steps ahead of you, a stern-looking coach driver. Since you are already in communication with Hesselake, you are a perfect candidate for the climax of the riot taking place in a number of hours, in conjunction with the passing comet. As such, however, you are also the only element that could ruin it. His final words come from behind you, and so you turn your head, but when you do, there's nothing there. You don't even bother looking around, because you have realized that in this world, vision is no longer the primary sense. Narthalup. Narthalup has gone, leaving you to this strange and distorted reality. Imago Dia. I don't know what that means, but it probably means something. After your conversation with Narlathoped, the dream world in which you find yourself starts to gradually regain a semblance of meaning, although it is just as ill-defined as before. Now at least you can make an educated guess at what direction to take. Now you feel that you are able to make an actual decision instead of drifting aimlessly throughout the world. Go backwards. You find a way to move through the distorted space with some degree of certainty, struggling with rave after rave of nausea and distortion. You eventually make some headway. But to where? Without any reference points, you have no clear aim and cannot help asking yourself whether there really is in fact a way out of this world. You sense something almost more like a feeling than a sound, like movements in sand. Spiked shadows materialize in front of you. At first, they look like ugly stains in the darkness, but then their outlines become more defined. Horrific, long-limbed entities with claws and deformed headless eyes. Headless eyes. What the fuck? Eyeless heads. All of the dark-skinned men who, with a small gesture, a word, or an action, have subtly guided your path so far. now flash before your eyes. They are all your informer. They are all Narlathoped, a superior entity and alien to man with his own obscure purpose. But there are not only human faces among his various features. Narlathoped also has a horrible appearance within aberration instead of the head. Your mysterious informant turned out to be Narlathoped, an entity far beyond human nature. He is able to change his form, he follows you, he even helped you, pretending to be a servant or messenger, but beyond the human appearance, he seems to hide a monstrous one. You instinctively run in the opposite direction to the shifting, creeping beasts. As they get closer, the piercing sounds of their snarling fills your ears. Your mind is still receiving distorted signals from your environment, yet your desperation to escape is helping you focus. The beings are beginning to move in front of you with fast and wild bursts of movement. In a way, they suit this place. That is no place. You have to find a way out now before escape becomes impossible and you begin to lose your determination. Part of you just wants to give up. It would be so easy now to just give way to oblivion. Just give up. Just accept oblivion. And let yourself be snatched up. Deep inside you, though, there is still your fear and your anger. Jake Huntington is still there, struggling away inside. Suddenly, you are confronted by another image. The latest apparition has upon her face a smile that leaves you breathless and stops your heart. Helen raises a hand inviting you to take it in yours. She appears now as she was before the disease. Now, how she was when you first fell in love with her. Your sweet Helen is there, smiling and stretching her hand out to you. Could it be that she has appeared now to save you? Sure! I think this is a bad idea. We made the bad idea. Helen, you are running. The excitement and sensation of running takes over your body and your whole being, as in previous realities, that of London, that of man, that of Jake Huntington, as you have already escaped the nightmarish world surrounding you. When you reach for Helen's hand and hold it, you feel its heat, its fragrance, you succumb to an intense feeling of peace. Finally the experience, once again, the feeling of the world as it was before all this lunacy, before you knew anything of Zanzibar, of the disease, or of the cult. Suddenly, pain shoots through your hand like thousands of needles puncturing your skin. Helen's smile widens slowly to become completely inhuman. Her teeth begin to deform and multiply, and her smile grows wider and wider, stretching her skin until it suddenly rips and falls back, covering her entire face. How lovely. Tentacles thrust out of her body, lacerating her skin as they grow and flail. They come for you, trying to intertwine themselves around your limbs. There is nothing left that is human about this form, let alone anything of your dear wife. At back, you hear the hideous appendages scrabbling around, searching for your body, holding you, penetrating your flesh. You scream like you've never screamed before! Is something broken? Are we broken? We were broken! I'm so sorry. Let me fix that for you. We are no longer broken! You scream like you've never screamed before. The skin around your mouth is stretched to the limit by the ferocity of your screaming. Your throat burns. You feel the pain and horror of contact with these otherworldly beings. Then darkness. Nothingness opens around you, and you plunge headlong into it. You wake up with a start to find yourself back in your rock-walled cell. The cultist woman has gone. You still feel feverish and sore all over your body, but less so than before. You are panting heavily. You have just experienced the absolute worst of feverish nightmares. Yet it seems also real. Perhaps only certain parts of what happened to you happened in the dream world. It could be that your dream functioned as a kind of portal, but you are quite sure that your encounter with Narlathoped And the other beans were actually real. That doesn't surprise you that it was broken. I'm sorry. At the entrances of the cellar appear 3 cultists, 2 women and a man. One of the women and the man approaches you and starts pulling off your shirt. The other woman is carrying a sponge-like bowl filled with a clear, pungent fluid. I think that if we resist, we won't be able to resist later. Right? You cooperate a little bit. Little cooperation. You let them have their way with you and they quickly remove your shirt but do not undress you further. The other woman approaches you and starts wiping your torso with the clear liquid in the bowl. She slathers it all over your face, your shoulders, your chest, your arms. Whatever it is, the substance burns slightly, as if it contains alcohol. It is obvious that you are being prepared for a ritual. After they have stripped you of your shirt, you are left alone with the woman who is continuing the evolution of your body. I will... Shit. I'm gonna have to edit this later. I will not have to walk out of here. You will follow me quietly and calmly. Or do I have to call for you to be dragged out of there? While you are considering your options, the woman puts her hands to her mask and raises it slightly. When you see her face by the dim light of the cell, you are utterly thunderstruck. Ayata. Yet you remain firm and impassive for a few moments. You saw Ayata die, and so seeing her now should be blowing your mind. Perhaps it would have been before today, or up until a few hours ago, but not now. Not after the unspeakable things you have just seen. You just look at her without speaking. You have known manifold aspects of Narlatotep. You have started to look out for other hidden realities beyond your own. You knew me as Ayata. To others, I have been known as Yolanda. To others, I am known as Madame Yai. Now, to all who know who I am the Witch of Dreams, servant of Azeloth. I am Yadhira? The reality around you seems to bend and warp. You find yourself in the distorted and disturbing dream world in which you met Narlathotep. Only this time you are definitely awake. Yidra's appearance is no longer that of your shy Polynesian girl. She is now a resplendent goddess. You cannot help but look on in awe. Narlathotep spoke to you about the god Hastelek, sleeping in chains below the temple, and of his worshippers who want to awaken him and hand over the earth and all of humanity to satisfy his appetite. The summoning of Hastelek would only ruin and sully this world, which rightly belongs to Azeloth. I don't think I said that right at all. You are paralyzed, stunned. Despite all your recent experiences, you are still shocked by intrusions from the dream world, or perhaps it is Yadhira herself who shocks you so. You can somehow sense her vast power. The time of Azeloth will come. Azathoth will come, and the earth will be delivered to him as pure as it can be. Hastelek should not be unleashed. His attempts to defile the earth must be punished. His chains must be tightened, and his prison made even smaller. His every possibility of escape must be taken away forever. You feel something, as if a hand were lightly touching your skin in a loving caress, but there is no hand. And Yadhira's hands are lying at her side, yet you are certain that it is she who is somehow touching you. You take a step backwards towards the thrill of her touch. I met you when you were incarnated. It was I who created the fog, I who brought you to the island. For some time I have been watching different branches of the cult of Hastelek, and it needed to meet you personally without outside interference. Her face carries a strange smile somewhere between malevolent and pleased. Without knowing how, as if she whispered it in your ear, you become aware that by interference she means Narlatotep. I know Hastelek is inside of you, but I cannot accurately gauge the extent of your contamination. There was a time when we could have joined forces, but perhaps it isn't too late after all. Maybe there's still a chance. You can feel her eyes heavy upon you, searching inside for something. What is she looking for? It is here. It is this place that my power is at its zenith. It is here, and now that we will sabotage the cult's ritual and destroy both Hestelek and the cult, once and for all. If we join together now, perhaps I can even win over your infection. You are struck by the sudden awareness. She will not make you do it. She will not force it upon you. Whatever her motives, her purpose, or her powers, it is now you who must decide. You know what? Fuck it. We're just here. Helen, Ayata, you close your eyes to focus clearly on these two women, and then you know that once that in this realm, there is no need to vocalize your answers. The content with Yadhira's hands becomes more intense, and suddenly your senses explode, and you are flooded with lofty feelings of attraction that go far beyond physical desire. Well, then. That's a lot of experience points. Jesus Christ. New deity, another divine creature appears before you, yet another deception, another entity that manipulated you. The being is Yadhar, whom you met under the appearance of Ayata. You can feel her immense power far beyond understanding. A beautiful woman, and at the same time not a human being. It's Yadhara, divine being, subtly pervasive, whose aims are inscrutable. You are drawing closer, then both swept away. Your spirits transmitted somewhere else. You feel the weight of the moon and the stars looming over you, but dare not open your eyes, partially in fear that you would somehow get lost in the surrounding madness. Your contact and union with Idhara is physical, yes, but there is also something else beyond the power of normal senses to feel, or of language to describe. When you are coming to the peak, time itself begins to implode indefinitely within you. Then suddenly the reality comes back like a sledgehammer, and you are back in the cell. This definitely isn't a dream, but you can smell the damp air and feel the texture of the ground below your feet. She adjusts her mask, and suddenly she is no longer Yadhara. The woman who replaced her starts collecting up the bowl and sponge as if nothing had happened. As if this person had noticed nothing at all. Yadhara has been wearing her body as a vessel. Two large cultist men enter the cell, grab you by the arms, and carry you off. Okay, guys. We can try very desperately to wrap this up. You are taken to what must be some kind of holy room, also hewn from the rocks, but not for long before you are picked up again and led along a winding, less artificial section of the tunnel. Here, the going is much thicker because the tunnel is in almost pitch darkness, and it turns illogical at certain points. Nonetheless, after a short time, you are led into a great hall, the temple of the cult of Hestelek. As you expect, there are symbols everywhere, drawn or carved on rock walls, columns, and even on many of the giant head sculptures shattered around the temple. Despite their size, the giant head statues look almost like mistakes or rejections from a sculptor, having hybrid, distorted, and unpleasant features. The temple is a giant acoustic amplifier for the cultist's dishaunting chants. At the center of the temple's huge, symmetrical dome above you is a small, cylindrical opening to the sky. Directly and precisely below the opening on the temple floor is a circular pool of water exactly the same size, in which you can see the reflection of the night sky. In front of the pool is a cultist waiting for you. You assume from the extra items of expensive-looking cloth that he must be a priest, or at least someone high up in rank. Probably the one to see the correct observances during the ritual. The man abandons his position and comes towards you. So, Dr. Huntington, we meet again. The voice and that accent are indistinctly familiar from the secret club and from before. Slowly he lowers his mask, uncovering his face, and confirms your suspicion. It's Meyer. You bet, Meyer. Yidhara sneaks into you, finding the germs of the disease, the infection that carries the name of Hestelek. The Union cleanses you from evil, dragging you to another level of existence. We do no longer have that. It was not so long ago that I asked you to join us. If I recall correctly, you were not especially convinced this time. Remain silent. They don't have to know. Myers remains unmoved. It is fast approaching time, Huntington, for you to know your pivotal role in our great plans. We know that you are an altruist, but as a doctor, you must know full well that you cannot save them all. For example, shall we talk about the child? He was destined to die. Oh shit, I still have this up. Oopsies. For example, shall we talk about the child? What about his name? Ah, yes, Scott. You were not even able to save the life of your friend and Commander's only son. You're dumbfounded. How could he know so much about your life? If nothing else, you managed to prevent a young boy from losing his life, or at least he struggled until the very end. Fugo had his fate sealed for him when you came to try to rescue him. Small consolation, but in any case, you are actually aware of the trail of blood caused by your actions. It doesn't matter now anymore. Now we know how determined you can be, Huntington. It's just a pity that you have always been a step or two behind us, especially on the really important questions. As at the time of your wife Helen's disease. In fact, it feels like an electric shock. What does he mean by this? Could it be that the cult is somehow involved in the sickness and death of your wife? We have full speechcraft, so yeah. Always one step ahead, sure, but sometimes it's the best way not to notice what could be coming at you from behind. Or did you think I came here all by himself? Certainly gets the cultist's attention, and some even step unconsciously backwards. Has something else really escaped? Do you think you have a monstrous ally of whom they are unaware? You smile, confident with having broken their certainties. Meyer takes the situation, his face consumed with seething anger. You fools, can you not see that he is trying to plant a seed of doubt in you? Huntington, a lie will not be enough to save you now. Really all he has to use against us is his quick wits, but he has nothing else to use against us. You are turning against us yet again. How dare you, after accepting money from us to pursue your research to eradicate diseases such as that which killed your wife? Meyer laughs, then replaces his mask. But don't worry, none of that matters now. It is time. Two men drag you into the center of the chamber, right to the ledges of the pool. Your legs give way momentarily. There is something inside, something seriously malevolent. You feel its vibrations. You can hear its silent calling inside your body. While the two men push you ever closer to the water, Meyer turns to his companions, and the chanting begins to rise in a crescendo. Then you spot the comet, reflecting on the small circle of the living liquid in front of you. You muster all your remaining strength and swing your arms back to a jerky motion. The motion contains enough momentum to unbalance the two cultists holding you. You waste no time and knee one of them in the face before he has a chance to stand up. Many others are on top of you now. They grab and push you violently towards the pool. The comet is now completely filling the disc. Then a Meyer approaches and turns your head to face his. You are face to face with the eerie smiles of the ritual mask. Goodbye, Mr. Huntington. Meyer pushes your head into the water. You are unable to breathe. The water rapidly fills your mouth, throat, and lungs. You can feel it suffocating you organ by organ, as if the water were a sentient entity moving inside of you. Looking for something, you see the flare of the comet in the water, and you become aware of the immense and powerful energies swirling around the pool. A violent ripple begins to form on the surface of the pool. You can feel the water inside your body vibrating too, screaming. It is moving like a living being. You cannot breathe. The comet is passing out of view in the reflection of the surface of the pool. The living water is still trying to force its way inside your body to choke you. Then it suddenly retracts as if yanked away. You cough violently, gulping for oxygen. Around you, there is only a high-pitched vibrating and buzzing. The men and women of the cult are taken aback, stunned, watching the water disappear down into the pool, writhing like a living entity being hauled backwards. The water is literally dragged downwards. For a moment, though, it seems to try and resist, like some kind of snared animal trying to escape its fate. It seems to be trying to cling to the edges of the pool and even to you. Meyer steps back and glares at you from behind his stone mask. You can feel the center of the well, a horrible, composed entity, hungry, craving, suffering, and looking for room in your body to finally dominate the world. It is Hestelek. He is trapped, but he quivers and pauses, sensing his freedom approaching. How is it possible? You have beaten the disease. You have beaten Hestelek. You take full advantage of his astonishment, and thanks to a surge of anger, you find the strength to get a hold of him and pull him towards you. To his surprise, he has no time to react. He loses his balance and tumbles headlong into the now emptied pool. His shouts resound for some time, before ending abruptly with a faint sound of crunching bones as his body hits the bottom of the pit. For a moment, your mind is filled with vivid images of Hestelek desperately trying to hold on to you in some way, but he is failing. You hear his voice resounding inside your skull, although it is impossible for you to understand the exact meaning of his cries. The gist of it is clear to you. The god is screaming furious curses with all his dwindling might. Your union with Yadhara has accomplished its purpose. Your contact with the goddess has healed you, cured you of Pestilence infection, finally freed from all traces of his dark contamination. You have lost the role of catalyst to the ritual and broke the delicate alchemical balance which would have made it effective. Rather than being released, Hestelek has been banished back to the depths of the ocean, perhaps for paternity. A large outcropping of rock cleaves off and comes crashing down onto the temple floor, and it is followed by more smaller boulders. Without Hestelek's power, the temple is weakening. You see some of the cultists head towards the precise point in the shadows. An opening has to be the only way out, that hellish narrow tunnel from which you entered this nightmarish realm. Nothing else remains around the ruins. There is chaos, shouts, collapsing rocks, and panic-striking cultists running in every direction. You aim for the direction of the tunnel, and not only to escape, you remember thinking that such an entrance made access to the temple extremely difficult, but now you realize that this isolate defense could have been turned against them. It is in fact an opening to trap them all in the collapsing tunnel. As you progress, you feel your strength returning, and any traces of the disease fall away, as happened to Hestelek a moment ago. Yet the presence of the disease and its attendant hallucinations can explain what you now see before you. You see the faces carved in the walls, moving their mouths as if speaking, as the rocks of which are made crumble and collapses. As you see them scurrying, the cultists no longer are pure human. They have a strange appendage growing out of their bodies and extending their limbs. With every second that pauses, they become more and more like the creatures from your dream journey. While trying to stay away from the nasty creatures and find a way out, you catch sight of an odd bright light pointing and leading towards the tunnel, a sort of shiny beam. Follow the light! You decide to follow the strange, luminous trail. Picking up your pace, you soon realize that the path allows you to move faster, helping you avoid both rock falls and running cultists. It could, however, merely be another hallucination. In front of you in the corridor, there is space in each. This could well be an opening to the tunnel which leads to the beach. You sneak inside. Since there is only one way out of this underground tunnel, it may be the perfect opportunity to permanently destroy the cult of Hestelek. Suddenly, you realize that the streak of light does not follow the path of the tunnel, but rises and stops at a precise point in the wall. Looking carefully, you notice that the rock seems softer here, as if it collapsed here. It would surely block any possible strike of those left behind. Sure, get fucked. You attempt to strike that particular spot as hard as you can. There's a faint crack noise in the rock. Looking up, you realize that the stones are being held up by a bulge in the rock. Perhaps it will not be possible to create a collapse after all. Deciding to have faith in your hallucinations, you lean back against the opposing wall and get ready to kick it. With one hard kick, you manage a slight movement in the rock and a small shower of stones. Then you hear voices. The cultists are escaping towards you. Continue kicking the rock. You continue kicking decisively. Once, twice, and a third crack in the rock yields, and many boulders fall, blocking off most of the tunnel and completely blocking the exit. Beyond the crushing rocks, you hear the anguished cries of the cultists, realizing that their attempts to escape are now futile. You move rapidly away from the collapse of the rocks and through the tunnel. After a few meters, you come across a small group of cultists who had already entered the tunnel before you. The noise of the crash must have stopped them in their tracks. When they recognize you, however, their anger takes over and they prepare to attack. You see that just by them there is a rock protrusion that you could use to step back. Ooh. We're gonna try to put as much into fighting. Oh, that's what we got. It will probably not go very well. Follow the trail of light will lead you to the cave to exit. Yep, you throw several hard punches at the cultist, but he dodges them all and lands one in your temples in return. Meanwhile, 3 other cultists are coming out of the tunnel. While still defending yourself from the first opponent, one of the new arrivals comes up and hits you angrily, sending you straight to the ground. They pounce on you and slam your body violently against a rock wall. Their gleaming eyes betray their rage and desire for revenge. One looks back towards the tunnel as if expecting more survivors when suddenly something like thunder shakes the earth. The temple of Pestilek has finally collapsed. One of the men kicks you viciously in the head, then runs off with the others. You struggle to get up, but your body is racked with numbing pain. You start having difficulty breathing, and your vision clouds over. You have been deceived. Manipulated from the start, a mere puppet of the hands of the cultist and divine beings. On the other hand, most of the cult members died under rock when the temple of Pestilek collapsed. Some of them managed to escape, however, and they may spread like the disease. You would like to believe otherwise, but you suspect that the survivors may try to take revenge by releasing another horrible pestilence. You smile at the bitter consolation. You will not live to see the effects of any such hypothetical violent revenge. It is hard enough for you to even think of tomorrow. Nairo. I love that they did this. I love that they. Why can't they just be named Hank or something? Like, oh, it's Hank. He's an abomination. Nyla. Oh my goodness. My brain is just not working anymore. Nyarla Thotep Yidhara Azathoth Pestilek is not the only threat after all. There are probably other cults too, one for each of these unmentionable entities. As your breathing becomes more and more labored, you feel your life slowly slipping away. Watching the tail of the comet fading from the sky, you wonder who will be next to try and overpower humanity, to take possession over the world which you, Jake Huntington, were able to save. This time, at least. I'll go through this epilogue quickly, and then I will have to jettison myself out of the stream. Jake Huntington is a name known to a very small number of people. There is no trace of him in history, yet the world mourns the countless victims of a terrible plague. It became known as Spanish flu. Interesting. Although it is true that Jake Huntington's efforts and studies certainly prevented far worse consequences than might happen in, for example, a war, yet some of the cultists must have managed to escape before the collapse of the tunnel. It is not known whether it was an act of revenge or of war, but the Zanzibar disease was modified. Other strains were developed, studied, and then released into the world. The cult of Pestilek was likely defeated, but the consequences were still disastrous. Millions upon millions of deaths. Furthermore, the addition to learning of their existence and of the disease, Jake made other more disturbing discoveries. Encountering such beings as Narla Thotep and Yidhara. Beings with unpronounceable names waiting in the darkness, ready to seize and take possession of the world and its inhabitants. Who, for example, is this? Azathoth, served by both of these gods, albeit in very different ways. Jake Huntington would never know but it is likely that someone else will one day encounter one of these terrible and frightening ancestral beings, and when that happens, whether they are able to face up to them in triumph, or whether they will succumb, has happened to the good doctor. Only destiny will decide. We did it! We did it! So I am so sorry, but I will have to now jettison away. I will see you guys next time. Bye!